Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I would like to give thanks to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala for giving us blessing and mercies so we can continue presentation today. Salawat and salam always be given to our beloved Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, who has guided us from the directly to the bright way and from stupidity to the cleverness. And thanks to Sir Umar as a lecturer of ELT management subject and all my beloved friends from PBI1. So ladies, before our start presentation today, we are going to introduce ourselves. My name is Farras Juniar and my friends are Juita Sari P.D, Lasmi Utami, Sakinah, and Annisa Aulia R. So, I will handle the first material. Our group will handle material about disciplinary interventions. The first from the research and theory. According to research, disciplinary techniques is simply not supported by research, but research and theory strongly support a balanced approach that employs a variety of techniques. According to a meta-analysis by Scott and David Quires 1997, in 99 studies, 200 experimental comparisons, and more than 5,000 students. According to Stage and Quires, have 5 types of disciplinary interventions. There are disciplinary technique, type of disciplinary intervention, various grade levels, and then negative and positive rank consequence. Stage and Quires divided the disciplinary intervention category into 4 parts. There are reinforcement, punishment, no immediate consequence, and then combined punishment and reinforcement. To reinforcement, such as reward for positive behavior, and timely castiation for negative behavior. The second is punishment, such as consequence for negative behavior. The third is no immediate consequence for inappropriate behavior. The last is combined punishment and reinforcement, such as involved recognition or reward for appropriate behavior. This is table figure 3.1, findings from Stage and Quires study. To average effect, punishment and reinforcement is the highest score. And punishment and reinforcement has 97 average effect, and then 33% decrease in disruptions, and 1,212 number of effect sizes. And the low type is no immediate consequence, has 64 average effect, 24% of decrease in disruptions, and then this is the middle of number of effects. The second type is type of disciplinary intervention. Type of disciplinary interventions have 5 types. There are teacher reaction, tangible recognition, direct cast, group contingency, and then home contingency. Teacher reaction, such as verbal and physical behaviors of teachers to students' behavior. And the second is tangible recognition, is strategies with symbol on token for appropriate behavior. Tokens such as reward or recognize. And the third is direct cause, such as direct and consequence. The fourth is group contingency, such as specific step. And the last is home contingency, such as monitoring a course. This is table figure 3.2 effect sizes for disciplinary interventions. For teacher reactions, have 997 average effect size, and then 34% decrease in disruption, and 24 number of studies, 1,191 number of subjects, and confidence interval 9 907 to 1087. And the low part is home contingency. Have 505 the 55 average effect, and then 21 percentile decrease in disruptions, number of studies 3, number of subjects of 1069, and confidence interval is 251 to 858. Figure 3.3 effect sizes for disciplinary intervention at various grade levels. In primary school, percentile decrease in disruptions is the highest percentile to use punishment and reinforcement, because in this level the children still easy to direct it, and disciplinary interventions are ineffective at the high school level in its average effect size of 694 for the high school level translates into a 25 percentile point decrease in disruption behavior. Figure 3.4. How parents and students rank negative consequence be. Actually, negative consequence from the negative behavior. Negative consequence, such as parents involved about disruptive behavior, students sound to principal, teacher explaining privately what was wrong, teacher confronting, students publicly, teacher confronting, students privately, student keep in at playtime, teacher explaining what is wrong in front of class, student held back from going on a school trip, student moved to another seat in the classroom, student took an unfinished work to another classroom. This is the step parent rank 1 until 10, and but it's different with students, different some students. In parent rank 1, in the student rank 2, and 2 the parent rank in student rank in 5, and etc. You can see the table, and then its average rank. This figure 3.4, I mean figure 3.5, how parents and students rank positive consequences. Positive consequences is the positive behavior. In the negative consequence, have a 10 negative consequence, but in the positive consequence, it's a little bit from negative consequence. Positive consequence have 9, just 9 positive consequence. There are parents informed about disruptive behavior. Student receives good marks. Student receives good written comments on work. Student praised in front of other students. Student mentioned in assembly. Students' work displayed. Student praised privately. Student praised by other pupils. Will class praise. It has some different, but it we can see different that the first step parents involved about disruptive behavior is the same for negative consequence, and the positive consequence is the same. One parent rank and two student rank, and two average rank is the same too. Just parents informed about disruptive behavior, it seems, because informed from parents is very important to students. My explanation has already, and then Annisa will handle the second material. By Annisa to Annisa, time is yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Annisa Aulia R. So now I will handle the next part. It's about programs. As you know, program is a design that will be run to achieve a goal. So there are two programs emphasize disciplinary techniques. The first is think time, and the second is assertive discipline. The first is think time. Think time is a highly structured program that has been shown to decrease disruptive behavior in students as well as increase student engagement. And also this technique emphasizes the seriousness of education, respectfulness of the classroom environment, and the importance of students taking responsibility for their own behavior. So, think time will be used when any student exhibits a behavior that disrupts classroom environment. There are three basic goals in think time. For the first is to provide for consistent consequences across all teachers in the school when students engage in disruptive behavior. And the second is to provide students with feedback for their disruptive behavior and to allow for planning to avoid future incidents of such behavior. And for the last is to enable teachers and students to cut off negative social exchange and initiate positive ones. And the next is assertive discipline. Assertive discipline is widely used program based originally on traditional behavior modification approach in which misbehavior results in specific consequences. Assertive discipline is also called the take control approach to teaching. It's because in this program, teachers control in the class in a firm but positive manner. And then, this technique maintains that teachers must establish rules and direction that clearly, and also define the limits of acceptable and unacceptable student behavior. And the teacher needs support in handling student and when the teacher needs support in handling student behavior, teacher can ask it for their parents. And the goal of assertive discipline is to allow teachers to engage students in the learning process uninterrupted by student misbehavior. So this is the 5 steps of assertive discipline. The first one is focus on establishing a positive climate for discipline. And the second is for teachers to learn about and practice assertive behavior. And then the third is to establish limits and consequences. And then for the fourth, following through on consequences if a student has exceeded the limits. And then for the last is to implement a system of rewards of positive consequences for positive behavior. Um, I think that's all, and Juita will continue about teacher action and tangible.
Okay, I'm Juita Sari P.D. I'm from Group 4, and I will continue on Annisa materials about programs. And next, I will explain about teacher reaction. Okay, teacher reaction is verbal and physical teacher reaction are the simplest ways to acknowledge and reinforce acceptable behavior and to acknowledge and provide negative consequences for unacceptable behavior. Everstone and Worsham 2003 list a variety of teacher reactions that include the following. The first one, make eye contact with an offending student by moving closer to her. This is subtle but powerful way of alerting student to the fact that she is misbehaving. And the second is use a physical signal such as a finger to hit the lips, or shake up the head to indicate that a given action is inappropriate. And the third, if the student is not following a procedure, provide the student with simple verbal reminder, ideally as briefly and safely as possible. You might also state the expected appropriate behavior. And four, if a student is simply off touch but not misbehaving, simply state the desired appropriate behavior. And the last, if a student does not respond to the more subtle intervention, simply tell the student to stop the inappropriate behavior. Okay, consider two broad categories of teacher reaction. The first one reaction that address inappropriate behavior, and the second reaction that reinforce appropriate behavior. In the class, there are bad and good reaction teacher. The comparison of the two attitudes is the action of each other's reaction when in class facing students. Teacher reaction is a straightforward and powerful way to provide both positive and negative consequences for student behavior. Teacher reaction have a positive and negative for their student, and has a consequence for student behavior. Tangible recognition involves the use of some concrete symbol of appropriate behavior. It is important for any system of tangible recognition to be accompanied by a true discussion of the rationale behind its care. Okay, using rewards to help with effective classroom management. The goal for most teachers and parents is to teach and raise children that are intrinsically motivated. That is motivated by internal factors. Students who are intrinsically motivated want to succeed because it makes them feel good, not because their teacher is going to give them sticker. While this comes naturally to many students, it does not come so naturally to others, so we sometimes replace intrinsic motivation with extrinsic motivation, comes from somewhere or someone else. There are many types of reward that can be given. The first, a walk around the school. The second, extra computer time. Third, run and run for me. And the last, radio time. I think that's all for my presentation. The next presentation will be presented by Sakinah.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Sakinah. Today I will talking about direct cost. So, direct cost techniques are more oriented toward negative consequences than positive consequences for student behavior. So it can improve student behavior to the positive behaviors. And these strategies involve an explicit and direct consequences for inappropriate student behavior. So there are two strategies for direct cost. The first is isolation timeout, and the second is overcorrection. So the first is isolation timeout. Isolation timeout. The effective use of isolation timeout requires that students have a clear understanding as to the specific behaviors that will lead to its use. For example, sending a child to a corner of the room or a chair position away from the ongoing activity. This child is not allowed to feel or be involved in any activity for a specified amount of the time. That's example for isolation timeout. And then the second is overcorrection. Overcorrection is a procedure that is used when a student has misbehaves in a way that destroys or alters some physical aspect of the classroom. For example, if a student's misbehavior results in an overturned desk, then an overcorrection intervention would require the student only to right the overturned desk, but also to straighten out the classroom. That is, the student would be asked to overcompensate for behavior, though sending a powerful message about its consequences. In my opinion, this direct cost is effective to take place within the context of a wide range of school practices. It helps all students develop positive behavior and within ongoing efforts to make the school a fair and accepting place for all students. I feel that it takes expectation and goals for acceptable peer-to-peer behavior are specific, concentrate, observable, and consistent. They apply to all students and are based on staff consensus. So its different staff members have the same expectation of students. Students and parents should have significant input into this expectation and should know clearly what the expectations are. I think that's all. Thanks for your attention. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Hello, I'm Lasmi Utami and I will handle the next part about group contingency and home contingency. A group contingency is one in which a common consequence, usually a reward, is contingent upon the behavior of one person within the group, a part of a larger group, or each member of the group meeting a performance criterion. There are three types of group contingency, which are dependent group contingency, independent group contingency, and interdependent group contingency. But according to the article, we just talk about two types, which are interdependent group and dependent group contingency. Dependent group contingency, or one for all, is reinforcement for all members of a group is dependent on the behavior of a select group of members within the larger group. In previous example, dependent group contingency would apply if one or a few students in the class were singled out for their hand-raising behavior, but the entire class receives the contrary recognition. Next, interdependent group contingency. All or none. It requires every student in the group to meet the behavioral criterion for the group to earn credit. Like for a dependent group contingency, the interdependent program capitalizes on peer influence as group members are likely to encourage each other to earn reward. Good behavior game is an example of an interdependent group contingency. First, this involves dividing a group into terms and offering a reward contingent upon good behavior exhibited by everyone on the team. Second, instead of earning for good behaviors, each team earns strike against it for any problematic behaviors exhibited by any one of the team's members. Third, the team with the fewest strikes earn the reward. The advantages of group contingencies are save time, lighten the workload of teachers and staff, facilitate teamwork within a group, practical to use, and encourages peer influence such as encouragement, support, and motivation. The disadvantages of group contingencies that they may be sabotaged to prevent a group from receiving a reward. Bullying may occur towards members of the group who were responsible for the group not earning the reward, and peer pressure to behave inappropriately like participate in bullying. Now, let's look about home contingency. As described in the section of this chapter on research and theory, home contact can be a powerful form of positive and negative consequence. In its most basic form, home contingency simply involves making parents aware of the positive and negative behaviors of their children. For example, a short note or letter to parent, a phone call, or a visit. At a more detailed level, establish a system of positive and negative consequences to be enacted at home. Okay, that's all about group contingency and home contingency. Thank you and wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.